rise today to give my last speech in this place, having been here since 2015. I am retiring as of the end of the summer and appreciate this opportunity. I'm going to begin with some comments about my husband, very briefly though, because he's my rock. And at the age of 14, I wrote something in the front of my Bible that said, I want to marry someone who puts God first, me second, and our children third. Well, God outdid himself. And I had the opportunity to marry a man who, in my card, I said, you are everything I ever dreamed of, I said for Father's Day. And then you opened it and it said, plus a whole lot of things that never even crossed my mind. So we were married, had quite an amazing life thus far and expect to continue, but Marty has a heart for ministry. So we went into ministry at a point later in our lives. And he was church planting, very entrepreneurial. And we had this wonderful family that we decided to take out for pizza one day from church. And they have this little girl named Katie. And she jumped out of her car when we got to the restaurant, ran up to Marty and jumped and said, look, God, I got new shoes. I had to explain to Katie that he was not God. I say that because I want to extend that over now into my appreciation for the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada and the current leader of His Majesty's official opposition. He's not God, but he's amazing. He has gifts that this country needs. He has the ability to process like no one I know. We experience this in our caucus meetings all the time. We'll stop there. But his heart is what drives him, and his love for being a servant leader and caring about people. When my mom passed away, he phoned me. When this happens to anyone in our caucus, he makes that call, and you never feel rushed when he's talking with you. With what happened out at Tumbler Ridge, he wasn't just there for the service. He stayed, and I don't know if he'd be appreciative that I'm sharing this, but it's just who he is. He stayed until every one of those people had an opportunity to meet him and talk with him. And he is gifted at understanding what needs to happen in this nation to give people their country back. So I have been so honored to be part of this caucus and wish nothing but the best for him as he moves forward with the most amazing group of people. They all want to be named, but I'm not going to go there, who serve in this caucus together. We are a team. What I love is something I learned when I was the only female on a board at a college. And I was athletic director, and I learned that I go to those meetings and I do my thing, make sure I'm heard, argue as much as necessary, and then we go for coffee. And that's what this team does, and they will be the best thing to ever happen to Canada in well over a decade, if not longer. Sorry, Mr. Harper, but I think it's even going to be better. So I'm so appreciative of my leader and my colleagues. And then there's my staff. I'd love to name them all. I have been so blessed to have people in my office who love the things that I love and support the things that I support and go the extra mile over and over again to make sure that I'm prepared. I could not do my job without those that are in my riding, and certainly here on the Hill as well. And I am so grateful for every one of them that have been part of my team. I want to thank the Pages and all the folks that help us out in the lobby, put up with us on a daily basis. You're remarkable. I have a special place in my heart for our PPS, our protective services. When I wasn't allowed to do my job on this Hill because I wouldn't share my status in regard to the COVID vaccine, I was not allowed to be in this place. And I decided to come in finally, and the Sergeant at Arms finally figured that out and escorted me. I was going to be apprehended, I believe my whip said. I didn't know what that meant. But he just escorted me down the hill, and I said, I don't hold you responsible, sir, for what you have to do. But nobody recognized me. They had phones all outside the door here, down there, over there, downstairs, trying to find me. And they couldn't find me because I don't know, every campaign I look a little different. So I said, you got to do a better job with this. You got to protect us. So the next day, when I came to work, somebody shared, there was an 8.5 by 11 laminated picture of me from Facebook on every desk in the precinct. And to this day, they know who I am. So that's all great. But the things I want to share as well are the things that I loved having the responsibility for here. No, I'm not going to split my time, Speaker, by the way, just so you know. Can I tell him that?
Do it your way, Cathay.
Okay, good.
Love you, Cathay.
I've been on Veterans Affairs, Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs, since I came to this role. And I have such a deep appreciation for our veterans. First of all, I'm just a civilian, and what I've had to learn, I still don't know everything I need to know, but they are so gracious to me, and it means the world that I've had this opportunity to be part of the study on Silent No More, where our women who joined the armed forces faced great duress because they weren't really welcome there. And now C11, of course, means that they don't get to make the choice of where they're going to take their cases, whether to the civilian or to the Canadian Armed Forces courts. But I love them, and I appreciate the opportunity I had to be part of that. There's a group called the Mefloquin Rally Warriors who have been injured by that drug when it was taken for malaria back in the days of Somalia, when something terrible happened on that deployment. Thank you, guys. See? They're very gracious to me, even the ones that aren't veterans. And they've suffered and suffered, and the government has not recognized that. And they will continue to fight until that recognition is given, because it was done improperly. There was no study of this unlicensed drug. It's a huge issue, and I want them to know that I am with them and will continue to be with them. I've been to every event that they've done over the course of these past 10 years. They will not give up on asking for an apology, a return to Somalia inquiry, and to have the care that they should have. And then service dogs are another area that are very special to me. And I want you to know that when I go home, Saskatchewan is a lovely, lovely province. Shame on you all who haven't been there yet. But I got to tell you, it's interesting in this country. We only have 1,300,000 people in that entire gorgeous province. And so somehow, even CBC forgets that we have weather when they're doing the weather report. But I can tell you, we have veterans. There are over 150 that are couch surfing or living on the streets in places like Regina and Saskatoon, but there's nothing officially there because we're too small. And we have begun something called the Yorkton Veterans Foundation that is going to change that. And so I'm very excited about that in our future. The other thing that I'll share with you today is that I've had the incredible opportunity in this place not to do one, not to do two, but to do 3 different private members' bills. And for those at home, a private members' bill is something that an individual member gets to speak on and bring forward to possibly be passed that may or may not be part of your party's stance or part of something that is needed according to other people, but it's something very important to you, to your riding, to the people that you serve. And so many people get their name pulled out of that hat but never get the opportunity because they're too far down the list. My predecessor was here for 22 years, and I don't believe ever had that opportunity. So I've had 3 private members' bills, and my passion is caring about violence against women. And the first one that I did was Cassie and Molly's Law in 2016, protecting pregnant women and their preborn children, but we called it Cassie and Molly's Law. I phoned this young man named Jeff Durham from Windsor and asked if I could be helpful to him because he didn't understand how what happened to his wife, who was 7 months pregnant, didn't recognize her baby. Now, we know there's issues around this topic in other ways, but this was a situation where she was confronted in her home by an intruder that both she and her husband knew. And he saw her, he knew her, he worked alongside them, and he panicked. He didn't want it to be found out what he was doing, so he attacked her and killed her at 7 months, actually more than 7 months pregnant, 7 weeks, I think, from having her baby, and they had already named her Molly. Now, this individual was charged, went through the whole system, and was facing his sentence. And Jeff could not believe that through this whole thing, there was no mention of Molly. It was like she didn't exist, period. But this was a mom who was excited about having her baby, and she wasn't with Jeff anymore, but you know what? They lived in the same block so that they'd be close, and they were setting up their baby rooms. So I did what I could to bring that forward as Cassie and Molly's Law. And of course, in this House, it didn't pass, but it brought huge attention to the fact that pregnant women are the most vulnerable when it comes to femicide. And yet in this House, they're never included in that conversation. And I find that deplorable. And then I did one on sex-selective abortion. Now you've got to ask, why in the world, Cathay, right? Morgenthaler's decision was made that it was too onerous for women to seek an abortion, so they struck down what was there, but the Supreme Court said there must be new legislation, and they must come with a determination of when that fetus is considered viable. None of that has ever happened. But when I brought this forward, it was because I do a lot of trade shows and whatnot, and I always have forms for people to sign, one on firearms, one on palliative care. We have a member over on that side of the floor now. I wonder if she'll get it done. And then one on protecting pregnant women. And you know, lots of women came and talked to me and said, Cathay, like, we want access to abortion. I said, fine. Truth is, 84% of Canadians want access to abortion. That's the truth. But I said, you know what? There's a Dartmouth poll that was done, and the National Post heading said, Canadians are not as divided on this issue as politicians and media would like you to think. So what they did is they went further and they said, do you think it's okay to have a sex-selective abortion? And the answer was no, there should be a law against that. The same 84% of people, 16% of people didn't fit into that category, and they are in the abortion at any time for any reason law. Did you know that Canada has nothing? We have no laws. We're the only democratic country in the world that has nothing. And our only friend in that field, other than democratic countries, is North Korea. This is appalling. So that decision enabled me to bring forward the Sex-Selective Abortion Act because women, nurses, pro-choice. The vast majority of these people are pro-choice. They want choice, but they do not want baby girls to be killed simply because they're girls. I was in a feminist class. I was going to talk about being a woman in politics. And as we walked in, the teacher said, oh, we changed our mind. We wanted to talk about that, but we hear you just put forward a bill on sex-selective abortion. We would like to talk about that. And I thought, oh, I'm in a feminist class. What's that going to feel like? They were appalled. They were absolutely appalled. So, of course, it didn't pass. Fine. And then I had one more opportunity under this leader, under our leader, and I brought forward Violence Against Pregnant Women Act. And again, a situation where a third party attacks a woman, knowing that she is pregnant, and causing physical or mental harm. That with this, the only thing it was calling for was that they be considered aggravating factors. And Joyce Arthur, who is the queen of the pro-abortion movement, said she could vote for it if it did these things, and it did them. 2 sentences. 2 sentences. And then, as soon as it was tabled, the previous prime minister and all the women on the other side of the floor did a Twitter attack on me. And actually, when I had presented it in the House in the first minute, when you just describe it, 3 colleagues from that side of the floor, women, clapped for it. when they clapped for it, that tells me that people on that side of the floor, whom I know and have friendships with, meet with on a regular basis, value protecting pregnant women and want to see that recognition of when a woman is wanting and carrying a child should have protection. In this case, Sherry and Shan Goberden lost their daughter, Ariana. She had a very, very frightening marriage, and he wanted her to come over. She was due, and her mom said, don't go. She says, it's okay, he just wants to talk. He proceeded with stabbing her in the abdomen 21 times. And when he was in prison and wanted to have a relationship with another woman, he took the picture of their wedding and removed her and put his picture up. There are terrible people in this world that attack women and are in relationships where they're brutal. And in this case, this had absolutely nothing to do with anything that the pro-choice community doesn't want to see. It's protection of women when they are having their children. So if we are truly concerned about feminism and attacking women, on that side of the floor, on this side of the floor, this is something that we could have all agreed on. But we don't, and so that's fine. That is the reality of the makeup of this House. But what I can tell you from that study, and 84% of Canadians wanting choice, when they saw that Twitter war, they went berserk online, and you won't find any of the comments anymore. They've been scrubbed. They're not there. But they said, what is wrong with you? That you don't understand, Speaker, not you, but them, that this is about women needing protection. And why do you always bring up abortion? Well, I can tell you why. Because it has become a tool of that side of the floor, actually the whole House, other than our party, where we get to vote according to our consciences, that will not allow anyone to be part of their caucus if they have the same values here. Although the three that clapped, I thought, okay, this is good. They actually ended up being three of the ones that stood up in the House and tried to accuse me of bringing forward an anti-abortion law. So that tells you the kind of stress that women on that side of the floor and people who value family and value women when they are being coerced within a relationship that is terrible or are facing a situation where they are being abducted or accused of anything until they hurt that woman and possibly injure or kill the child as well. Okay, so it's tough to stand here today and say this on the day that I'm leaving, and I know it's divisive in some ways, but you know what? This place needs to represent Canadians and Canadians' views.
This will be as brief as I can, Mr. Speaker, but the honourable member for Yorkton Melville gave her farewell address, and can I just get on the record how much I'm going to miss her, and I want to thank her for her service to our prayer breakfast group when she was chair, and just say best of luck in everything and all my love.
Speaker, I just want to thank the member for her speech. I did serve with her on Veterans Committee in the last Parliament. I know she was a great source of support for many veterans, including women veterans. I want to thank her for her service and wish her all the best in her retirement.
I just want to quickly extend all the very best to my colleague from Yorkton Melville. We've worked together since 2015. We share a border. We have many constituents that travel back and forth between her communities and mine. And one of the things that I have admired from my colleague is her conviction, her dedication to her four core principles. I was given advice when I first got to this place that was, you should always know what you're willing to resign over, or you should always know what you're willing to lose your seat over. You should always know those limits upon which you cannot compromise, because those are your core values and your core beliefs. And I believe that Canadians respect that. Canadians want to see people elected in this House of Commons that don't just go with the flow or read the polls and make decisions afterwards, but have a clear sense of who they are and what they're all about. And I think the fact that her constituents keep sending her back to fight for them and represent them is a great testament to her character, her integrity, and everything that she brought to representing her constituents and speaking on their behalf in this House of Commons. So very quickly, I wish you all the very best. I wish you and your husband all the very best in your retirement, and everyone in your family. And thank you for all you've brought to the Conservative Party of Canada, the official opposition in the Parliament. Thank you so much, Cathay.
Questions and comments? Question et commentaire. The honourable member for Cariboo Prince George.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I just want to extend much the same as what our other colleague has done. I was elected with my friend in 2015, and as many know, we go through highs and lows in this job, and she's always been resolute in her faith. She is a strong supporter of her colleagues, and she was always one, if you were going through a hard time or if she found out that you or a loved one were struggling, she was quick to tell you that she was praying for you. And I don't know about you, Mr. Speaker, but when somebody reaches out to tell you that they're praying for you, it is deeply personal and it means a whole lot. So from my family, through you, Mr. Speaker, from my family to my colleague, I wish her all the success, and thank you for the years that she spent with us here in this House. So thank you.
Questions, comments, Member Holt-Aylmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to also wish the honourable member from Yorkton Melville, a woman who I've gotten to know through national prayer breakfasts. Through prayer breakfasts, we've sat together, we've talked together, and I wish her the very, very best to her and her family for having served her constituents of Yorkton Melville with great honour. And Mr. Speaker, in Parliament, it's a very unforgiving job, but she has acquitted herself well, and I do wish her the very best.
I see several members. We will have to keep these brief, so I'll recognize the member for Regina Louvain, and then there's three others. I'll recognize them very briefly if they keep all their comments brief to allow the member a brief chance to respond at the very end. The honourable member.
I'll keep it very brief. This member from Yorkton Melville, Cathay, has been a great colleague, but she really embodies the three things that we talk about as Conservatives: faith, family, and freedom. And she always asks about people's families. And I'm a big family guy, and the fact that she's resigning to spend more time with her husband, their beautiful kids and grandkids, it really is a testament to leaving on a high note and leaving at the appropriate time. I hope her and Marty have the best in their retirement, and just thank you for always being there and talking about family and making sure your colleagues' families were always in top of mind. It's something I've always appreciated about her. Best of love, Cathay. Have a great retirement.
The honourable member for Shefford. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would also like to wish her a happy retirement to this, for barely 30% of MPs who are women. Even if we don't always share the same opinions, we are in a democracy, and we should be able to debate and not be afraid to speak our minds.
And again, we'll try to keep these brief.
Heaviest suitcases, best laugh, and you know what, Cathay, I just wanted to say that you may not have been a veteran, but you had the heart of a veteran. And truly, I respect you and love you, and I will miss you, and I'll miss our cappuccinos.
The honourable member for Saskatoon South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had 2 or 3 years as Sask Caucus Chair, and we moved our summer meetings around, and I remember saying to this member, we're coming to Yorkton Melville. And what a delightful 2 days that we had in Yorkton Melville because of her. You know, she brought the community together, the Indigenous leaders. We had a sensational meeting with them. We had tours with Yorkton. But I also remember one thing about her. You know, when you, as a caucus chair, when you kind of say we're going to come, and she was up to the task. It was fabulous. But I also remember that community, the best Ukrainian food in this country. So I just want to say to the honourable member, happy retirement for her and her husband Marty, and our caucus, really indebted to her for the 10.5 years that she served.
The honourable member for Middlesex London, final comment, and then we'll give the floor to the member for Yorkton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to say thank you to my colleague. I am one of the rare people in this chamber who had an opportunity to work with her as a staff member. And actually, I was a volunteer afterwards when I left the Hill as being a staffer. She was chair of the National Prayer Breakfast for 4 years. And I just want to thank her for her service on that as well. She really brought a lot of meaning to that role as chair, and I admire your faith and your conviction and not being afraid to share that with everybody else. So thank you for being such a great example to me and other staffers on the Hill as well, and we will miss you seeing you here. Congratulations.
The
honourable member for Honoré-Mercier.
I'd like to thank the member from Yorkton Melville for her nearly 11 years of service. Earlier today, I made a member statement where I acknowledged 5 departing members of Parliament, and I learned shortly after about your departure. So if I could, I would revise my member statement to include 6 departing members. I got to spend a brief moment of time with the member on Veteran Affairs for a few months and really appreciated her insights. I'm hoping, my understanding is that she has 9 grandchildren, so I'm hoping she'll spend some time, 10 grandchildren, so I'm hoping that the member will spend a lot of time with her 10 grandchildren. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And before I give the floor to the member for Yorkton Melville, I'll just say on behalf of all members, wish her and her family good health and happiness as she proceeds the next journey in her life. The honourable member for Yorkton Melville.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and for your patience through this unusual event, I think. Thank you to everyone who has spoken and all that are here. It blows me away.
Well, Kathy, and stop.
But I also, I can't forget to just quickly thank my riding.
Yes.
The people there are just phenomenal. Yeah. And my family as well. So it's been an honor to serve here. I'm not leaving because I don't love the job. It's great, and we have a great house here. Let's make Canada proud.
Thank you, Kathy.